we find ourselves in a predicament because we'd have like serious titles like The Witcher and Jesus the Voyeur, and then we like flip the set list and we have cornbread, beans, and collard greens. Like,
You should have kept beans and collard greens. I fucking love that. That's so good.
See, I said that.
Dude, I didn't know. Like, I was looking at the album art and I was like, man, that's gonna seem so silly flipping it around, and then you have like these big death metal tracks and it's just cornbread, beans, and collard greens. Oh.
Welcome to the 12th episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm Chris Deering, and this is the show where I interview bands in the mathcore adjacent communities. If you beautiful people in chat have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll try my best to read them aloud. If you're watching this on YouTube, listening to this in your car, have no idea what I'm talking about, the show's first done live on twitch.tv/the Cast That Ends Creation. Feel free to drop by for the live cast. With that crazy intro out of the way, let me introduce our guest tonight who dropped their ripping debut album, Blasphemous. Welcome in Night In At Tiananmens. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Tell us who you are and what you do in the band.
Okay, fair enough. I'm JR. I play drums, and that's about it.
I'm Will. I do the vocals and the lyrics.
Alrighty, so where does your name come from? Is it a reference to Tiananmen Square?
It totally is. We had a vocalist for a short period before Will, and he was like watching some stuff on History Channel, and I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I remember reading about that. And yeah, so we went with that. And it really wasn't like at first we picked grindcore because we liked grindcore. And then we kind of realized it's like, this is a really politically charged genre. So the name seemed a little even more fitting. So like it was cool. I liked it.
As did I.
Yeah. It's a tongue twister though. Like never like when we tell people they're like, oh yeah, Night In At the fuck. Like no one dude, isn't it I knew it'd be like that. It's just yeah, it's a mouthful.
So it's basically like you're sleeping in Tiananmen Square then is essentially what the name's all about then.
More or less like I would say like the events surrounding that whole incident, like being there the night that it happened. That's what I think of when I hear the name.
Okay.
The chaos between civilians and the Chinese government.
And that was kind of like the reason was like feeling trapped by your own government in a way. And that's kind of where the name originated from. So yeah, and it's really relative to what he said as well.
Okay, well, you guys have been around for 3 years, which is quite a while. I kind of remember hearing your name a while ago, maybe when your EP dropped, but I wasn't really super aware of y'all until this album. For people like me that aren't super familiar with your history, can you walk us through just a little brief history of the band?
So basically, I was living in a band house with my other band in Rapture, and we kind of started moving out and everything, and it was just me and my bassist for a while. And I was like writing all these grindcore songs, and I didn't know if I was ever going to ask him to be in the band until one day I met our old guitar player named Edward Longo. He's in the band Primeval Well from Nashville. They're like a black metal band. But anyways, me and him wrote like a bunch of the songs from the record, and then we added Tony, and then we added our old vocalist and everything, and it kind of faded out after we wrote a bunch of songs. We didn't know if we were going to do it because people were moving and everything, and I didn't know if I was going to even do the band. But we released the demos, and then before that, that's when we added you and Zach. Yeah. And then it's been the same lineup since then, except Riley. He was in and out.
Right.
But yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind of members, but I think where we're at now, the four of us, it's where it's going to stay for a while.
So who are we missing exactly?
Tony and Zach. Tony is the guitarist. Zach is the bassist.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of thought your Bandcamp listed 5 people. Wasn't there a guitarist and vocalist?
So we have Edward Longo on there because he's still like a permanent member.
He just like he records for us and everything, but he lives in Nashville. So he's on the record. He's on every song, but no, except for one of them. But
I can't remember what that is.
Coffee. He's not on
Oh,
Coffee. Yeah, because he moved like right before we recorded those tracks, so he wasn't able to write parts yet. But yeah, it's like when he left, it was like, dude, you're still in the band. He's still in our group chats and everything. And like, it's kind of hard to get rid of somebody who has such like immense talent and just like is really gifted at writing this kind of shit.
It's pretty
Okay, so
too.
he like records with you guys, but he doesn't like play shows and stuff like that.
No,
Yeah, the last show he played with us was last year in May, and it was literally the night before he moved.
Yeah,
so it was a pretty cool send off for him.
Okay. Well, obviously bands like Psyopus, As the Sun Sets, Fawn Limbs, those are probably your influences. Is there anything else that really influences y'all?
So like, actually, you know, I think I'm pretty much the only one in the band that listens to like Psyopus.
Yeah,
I think
I remember
showed
you showed me that for sure.
I'd say our biggest influence is probably the Dillinger Escape Plan and Pig Destroyer. Those are probably like the big two.
Okay.
And
I can see Pig Destroyer.
Yeah, I love both those bands so much. But like, I always wanted to write stuff like Dillinger, but it's so easy because there's a lot of bands doing that right now, and I didn't want to like overdo it. So I was like, man, if we did it like kind of with that mathcore background, but really push the grindcore, like that'd be cool. Like something a little more mathy compared to like the just basic blast the whole time and stuff like that.
For sure. I can hear a huge death metal element to you guys as well. Is like where does that come from?
Honestly, I'd say you. Like, I think you have the most like death metal sound out of all of us with your vocal style. Because like
I do listen to some black metal.
Yeah, none of us really
have
do
that fizzle fry thing going on.
Yeah,
dude, they're sick, man. Your vocals are really sick on this. Like, holy
Thank
crap.
you.
He spits.
So what's the writing process like? Is someone primarily directing it, or are people bringing in different parts, seeing what works?
So
usually starts with the drums first.
Yeah, I usually write the song by myself, and then I bring it to practice. So we write around my drum parts, basically.
Dude, that's wild. I had another band on recently. I cannot remember which one it was now, but somebody else was talking about that. That whole concept is so foreign to me. Like the drummer laying it down first, and then the guitar going over it.
Well, that's like, when I started this band, I was just looking to do something more technical. And so I would just sit downstairs in my house and like write these like minute-long songs. And I just kind of like keep them in my back pocket. Like I never knew if I'd do anything with them. But, there's like 2 or 3 songs on our record that we never even played before recording. I just like improv'd them over a tempo. And then we kept like the best takes and then we turned them into songs. And then we give him to like Tony, and he'd sit at home and just cook shit up over it. Like, I don't know. It's weird writing like this. It really is. Like, it's not conventional at all, but it makes for some interesting shit. Like, it usually goes, I'd say, drums, guitar, bass, then vocals. Usually,
yeah. Vocals are generally the last thing. Same with lyrics, because it's really hard to write. I've discovered I usually try and syncopate it with the drums. So when, he's doing a blast beat or something and I have to do like 16 words in like a second, I'm just like, oh God, how am I going to do this?
Well, and it helps because he plays drums too. So, I mean, we can kind of work together in that aspect.
It's a meticulous process.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of social commentary in your lyrics. Also, a little cool story on "It Was Me the Whole Time." Is there a main lyrical inspiration for you?
In like, are you asking like what that song is about, or?
Oh no, like just in general. Is there like somebody that writes lyrics that you're really interested in that has influenced your style, or books, stuff like that?
When I think about it, I can't really think of like a certain vocalist or lyricist that like I try and emulate, because a lot of what I do for just like lyrics in general starts out as like sad boy poetry, and then through the meticulous process of fitting it with the drums, I continuously add and most songs will get 6 or 7 edits before the lyrics are even presented. So
that's why when you asked us, you were like, "Can I get those lyrics?" I was like, "Oh man, he's not gonna like that."
Well, they're not even on Bandcamp. Why didn't you put them up on Bandcamp?
I sent them to Tony.
I think we still can go back and edit them, but like some part of me likes to keep it secret too. Like,
there's a bit of an allure to that.
like I don't know, something about that is cool because like one of my things when I first got into metal was like trying to figure out what they're saying, at least with like the really extreme shit. And like I don't know, looking it up and the lyrics not being there is like, God fucking damn it.
Kind of hoping we'll get one of those like bad lip reading mashup things. Someone will interpret it and be like, "Oh, that's what he's saying." Wrong.
Like
I've done that
the waking
myself.
the cadaver thing back in the day. Shredded wheat.
Oh man, there are so many of those. They don't really do them anymore.
What was the one we listened to the other night? Wasn't it like Despised Icon or something?
No, it was 6 by All That Remains.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It came up randomly on our shuffle, and I was like, "Oh man, this brings it back."
Dude, y'all should definitely make some videos doing stuff like that. That would be awesome. Content idea.
It happens all too often. I mean, we're nerds, so we just hang out and play video games and shit like that all the fucking time. And I think I honestly have thought about it before, like doing some kind of podcast or something, but I don't know if people would want to see us just bullshitting.
But no, seriously though, the lyrics are actually really good. Like, it's not like my lyrics are shit because I just like do straightforward like everything sucks, everyone's gonna die kind of thing. But you actually have some flowery's not the right term, but feeling, I guess. I don't know. Good descriptions in your lyrics.
Thank you.
And like poetry, you know, like my shit's not poetry, but yours is very, very poetic. And I don't know, man. Like, don't you want people at shows to be like screaming the lyrics back at you and stuff?
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I mean, I kind of post the lyrics. Like, I have some of that on my Instagram already, under just like a single photo, and then I'll have the lyrics to something. But as in terms of like an archived set of all the lyrics, yeah, I haven't posted anything publicly like that yet.
Okay.
But I mean, if there's a demand for it, people want to know what I'm saying. I'll let them in on the goods.
Is what was it? It was me the whole time. Is that like just a story that you came up with, or is there something behind it? Kind of seemed like there might be something behind it with what you were saying.
So that was one of the audition songs that I wrote, and a funny story about a few of those songs is I was super nervous because Zach, Tony, and JR are in the band In Rapture, right? And before I moved to Billings, I had seen them multiple times, and I had this weird like I don't even know how to describe it, but I was just like, oh my god, these guys are in Rapture and they want me to be in their new project. So I was just freaking out for weeks, and then I went and listened to the songs and got some recorded versions, and there's like, oh yeah, come back next week. And so like the night before the next practice, I decided to take some LSD and just crank them out, and it actually worked because for like 8 hours I just wrote and edited, and yeah, that's pretty much what came about. That song in particular doesn't really have anything. It was just like a fake story about someone being on drugs and accidentally killing someone, and then in like a weird twist of irony, like dying themselves by running from the cops. So
Oh man.
Makes sense of this band.
Sounds really weird when I describe it. So,
well, I didn't even know that. I think we talked about it one time, like a year ago, but I was really hammered, so I probably just didn't.
Well, the ending in particular. There's this book that was adapted into a movie called the Lovely Bones, and if you're familiar with that, I don't know if you are or not, but no. It's about this like, God, he murders this girl. And he's like the villain, obviously, because the girl is like in the afterlife, like trying to figure out what happened to her. And he gets away with it at the end, but literally at the very end, the whole audience gets to watch him slip and fall off this cliff and like fall to his death. And it's just so gratifying. And that was all I thought about at the very end when I wrote it.
Well, and a lot of our songs too, like especially that one, that's Mug Duck, right?
Yeah.
So like we have different names for like half the songs in the record. That at practice, we just call it that song because we didn't have a title yet. So we got to the record and we were like, man, we have to make names for like half these songs. And so like I think it was like By Torchlight, A Swathe of Bums, It Was Me the Whole Time, Teratoma, and Coffee almost. Because we didn't really
I
have.
can't remember what we called that.
Yeah, but like, yeah, we just made a bunch of names real quick. We were like looking through the lyrics, like, because
We're like, we gotta make it look presentable, like because By Torchlight and Swath of Bums were called Beans and Collard Greens because they came after cornbread, so it was like just like some breakfast.
It was a
some
trifecta.
breakfast themed kind of thing, like cornbread, beans, and collard greens. Oh, and Gator.
yeah, and
Gator
too.
stuck. Gator stuck. But
That was a couple of them were like, we're just gonna keep them because we love them too much. Like, and then like they're dumb names. Like Muck Duck was
from The Office.
yeah,
Yeah,
from The
yeah,
Office.
it's the Office, right?
Yeah, and like that was It Was Me the Whole Time is what that one turned out to. So yeah, we find ourselves in a predicament because we'd have like serious titles like The Witcher and Jesus the Voyeur, and then we like flip the set list and we have cornbread, beans, and collard greens. Like,
You should have kept beans and collard greens. I fucking love that. That's so
See, I said that.
dude, I didn't know. Like, I was looking at the album art and I was like, man, that's gonna seem so silly flipping it around, and then you have like these big death metal tracks and it's just cornbread, beans, and collard greens. Oh.
Dude, people, since you don't post the lyrics, people will think you're just talking about a recipe, man. You're just like screaming a recipe.
Dude, that's
How to
so
cook
funny.
beans and
He's
collard
an
greens.
amazing chef, It could work out actually.
Well,
Oh,
it's
you're
so
a
funny
chef?
'cause- Well, I wouldn't call myself a chef. I just like to cook for my friends. But like, I don't know. I really like to cook. If I didn't play drums, I'd probably be cooking somewhere.
Instead, you're cooking up those sick beats.
Dude, my fucking beat laboratory.
Cooking up some blasts.
So you guys recorded this yourselves?
Yes.
We did.
Nice. What was the recording process like?
So it actually started like a long time
Last
ago.
January.
Yeah, we were sitting on these for a while, just because people were moving while we were recording, and we were moving ourselves out of different houses, and like it started with the drums. We did all the tracks in like probably a week, and then I believe the guitars were done DI after that, and then we reamped them. And then I want to say we did bass after guitars.
Yeah.
But everything was done in my old house's basement. And like, as far as tracking everything goes, like we have decent stuff, but like it just seems like every time, we learn more and more every single time we do this. And like,
Right, a lot of trial and error for sure.
definitely a lot of trial and error.
Exactly,
And,
yeah.
I like to be, I hate saying this, but because some people just want to argue it, which is fine. Everyone has their own beliefs, but I like very organic recordings. I like real drums with no samples. I like, a lot of people do DI for guitars and bass. I like to mic up cabs. I think it sounds great. And especially for grindcore, like we're trying to get a raw sound,
Yeah.
So, not that there's anything wrong with sampling drums. Like, I think that sounds great. And, especially people that might not have a drummer, it sounds just as good. I mean, they're meant to. That's the point. I just wanted my honest takes and everything, especially with drum tracks. I think on the kick drum, we used a slight trigger, but it was kind of just like a fade in. And then we had the acoustic trigger, the acoustic mic, I should say. We just had that kind of blended in over the trigger. But, yeah, very organic. We did the best we could considering we were in a concrete goddamn basement.
Right.
Right. I was gonna say that is not like the best suited for recording.
Oh, it was rough. I mean, we made like a wall around the kit out of amps and blankets and stuff like that, and we padded up the walls with like soundproofing and stuff. We did the best we could, but I felt really bad for our bass player because he didn't really have like a control room or anything. So he's just sitting in front of my kit, like directly in front of it on his laptop recording it, and I'm just blasting his ears off. Like, he had to put up with that for like a week.
I
So
think
all
most of
the-
issues came from just the laptop.
Yeah, and it was
cooperating.
our laptop shit out. Like, we almost weren't able to put out. We almost had to redo the whole thing.
Oh
Like,
wow, what happened?
Because I can't remember. It was
Something happened with Pro Tools, and when we opened like the session, like it was corrupted or something wasn't allowing like the tracks to show up, so it was just like a blank session.
yeah. He had to get his hard drive.
Or
out.
we would
Damn.
track something, save it, and then reopen it, and it would be gone, and like another take would be in like the place of what we had just done.
Or like all the tracks would be like you'd have drums starting here, then bass way out here, and then guitar like right in the middle. Like,
It was a shit show.
it was
Jesus.
weird. So we ended up transferring everything to our guitar player's house, and then he ended up mixing it and was able to get it right. And that was just unfortunate what happened, but I was just thankful we didn't have to redo the whole thing.
Yeah, because that laptop finally crapped out like the day we finished vocals, so it was just like a weird.
Happy coincidence,
Yeah, I was just like, oh well, at least we're done recording now.
right?
I felt bad because we'd like tell people like, yeah, we're working on the album, and then it'd be like silence for like 2 months because we were having technical difficulties.
It was like, yeah, how about that album, guys?
Yeah, be like, we're gonna push this thing and just get it out.
So all the drum takes then are just like one take, or there's no like programming at all involved in it? Dude, nice.
No, we try to keep it all one take. I think there's like 2 or 3 songs with punch-ins, but that's it. Try to keep it all one take, no replacements, and then, I hate to say I'm like a purist or anything like that, but that's just how I like my drums to sound. And it was difficult to get the right sound doing that, because especially with metal drums, getting that kick drum to really cut and everything like that. But I kind of just accepted, it is the way it is, and we put it out, and I'm still happy with it. So, I mean, that's all that really matters, I think, is as long as the people making it are happy with it, you just got to go with that.
I especially like the snare hits, man. Like, I don't know what it is, but they're so strong. I really, really enjoy the snares.
That snare was cool. I fucking sold it right after the recording session, but
Dude,
it was
come
just
on,
like
man.
this.
It's okay, I own it now.
So I mean, it's still in the family, but like, yeah, it was my bandmates. That thing was so loud, and my bandmates in my other band would be like, "Dude, that thing is killing us." Like, it's a tank. So I ended up selling it because, I mean, I don't need to annoy people any more than I already do.
Much obliged.
So, who is Mandy Castro?
Mandy Castro is a local singer-songwriter from Billings here, and she has 2 albums out now, or an album and an EP.
I think an album and an EP, but I teach drum lessons to her son also, and like we're very like involved together in the music scene, see each other all the time. And she was in a metal band called Rotwood for a while.
Yeah,
And then until they changed their name. But I never saw her do screams, and I saw her do screams one night, and I was like, man, we got to get her on a song. Like, that'd just be so cool, because I just loved her voice, and I was like, man, I think it'd mesh well with Will. And
Well, I was gonna say y'all said that she's a singer-songwriter. I was thinking some like emo indie kind of stuff, and then
And it
she's
is,
on here just
yeah.
like cranking it
She
out,
is.
man. It was like, oh my
yeah,
god.
she does it like acoustic.
yeah, her
Plays
own
piano
stuff is
as well.
pretty easy listening.
That's wild, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the one who wrote most of the lyrics for The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, dude, she's
I-
fucking nuts, man. I really like female vocalists. Like, I don't know what it is, but they're just so savage on the high end, man. Like, I wish I
Oh,
could do
dude,
shit like that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's really the thing is like Will has almost like a rhythmic pattern with his voice, so it's almost like it's like choppy, like a rapper in some parts almost. And she has more of like a long-term effect with her vocals, like holding the notes out and stuff. And I thought it was really cool. Like,
It meshed really well together.
yeah.
Hell yeah, man. So you guys played a couple of shows. Got any memorable experiences?
Oh man. Our
Let's start with
shows.
your worst experience.
Man, I've loved all of our shows. We Our shows are nuts. Like, don't come to our shows expecting like a safe concert experience. It gets pretty fucking wild. Like, the worst show was probably before you were in the band, and our vocalist quit that day. Our old vocalist,
Oh.
and we got to the gig, and it was me, Tony, and our other guitar player Ed. We didn't even have a bass player yet, and this newer Billings band was playing, and the room was packed, and then we got in there, and like everyone left because that was their first show. They were there to see them, and I was like, no one knew who we were, and we were playing this crazy shit that no one liked even. So like,
I stuck around.
yeah, it was like him, our bass player. That's the funny part. It was like you two, and our bass player's wife, and yeah, that was an awkward one. It was like 3 people.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has the kind of shows where they're playing to just like members of the other bands and stuff like that. You
Oh,
know?
for sure.
Everybody decides to take a smoke break during your set or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, our sets aren't very long anyway.
Right. By the time you're done smoking a cigarette, you know the set's over. So
Well,
It's been
what
5
was
minutes.
what was your best show?
Oh, Bozeman the first time. The first
yeah,
time.
the Hofbra and Bozeman.
We opened for this black metal band up here called Untitled, and they have a huge draw. And we played in this place that is like, I can't even describe it. Probably like 200 cap max. Like that's pushing it. And that place was lit. Like people were dancing on tables, people were throwing shit over. Like
People were crowd surfing, and it's just like a dive bar with no stage. We played in front of a fireplace.
yeah.
And
And
That's
people were
sick.
like standing on people's shoulders.
Yeah,
Like, it seemed like there was
they
like
pushed
2
that-
layers of people in the
pushed that pool
like,
table too, and like everyone was standing on the pool table like filming. It was wild for a first time in that city.
That's
And
crazy, man. And y'all don't have like a following there at the time, right? So how come all these people came out?
For Archeron Thodol, the band we were opening for.
Oh, okay.
And
Who else was on that show? Oh, 5 Minute Porno.
5 Minute Porno played.
Yeah.
And then, which they're awesome. That's a Bozeman legend right there. 5 Minute Porno is sweet. And who else? There was one more band I want to say. I can't remember, but that show.
Oh, Ain't I?
Yeah.
They're like a doomy, sludgy band.
Yeah. But like, man, that show, I like, when I think about the best shows, I always think about that one because that shit was fucking crazy.
Yes. It was a warm welcome.
Yeah, and we went back there last New Year and we played again, and it was almost as good. Not quite, but almost. Bozeman knows how to party. They got a crazy like punk scene up there. So
Have you guys done any touring or anything?
No, we had like planned to do some this year, but
yeah,
current events
Right.
and whatnot kind of screwed everything up. So it sucks, but at the same time, it gave us some extra downtime to really focus on the album and get our finances in order so we can actually do that.
Yeah.
Maybe next year or whenever shows are a regular thing again.
and I mean we're already working on our follow up. We're probably like 6 songs in.
God
So,
damn.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, there's plans for the future for sure, and I would love to tour, but like he said, with current events, it's not responsible, it's not safe, and it's I don't want to put anybody or ourselves in danger right now, and it sucks, but it is what it is, and just gotta take it as it goes, I suppose.
Right. You can only adapt pretty much.
So y'all recorded a music video for the album. Can you tell me about that?
That's actually a funny story.
Yeah, so we there's this park in Billings called Two Moons, and we were just shooting like promotional photos because we had we added Riley, or was that the second time we went there?
That was the second time. We weren't there to shoot promo. We had a session booked with an actual like videographer. She does this for a living, and she ended up having to move to Missoula like
That's right.
the weekend before we were filming this video, and it had like this huge storyline that was all typed out. And we had like a building rented out to film it in, and it was, well, I shouldn't say rented out. We knew the people that owned it, but it kind of fell through last minute, and I was like, we used to do promo shots with like these black hoods on, and I was like, why don't we just put these black hoods on, walk through the woods, and take some video? And it actually looked pretty cool. So
Yeah, I
it
thought
worked.
it came together pretty well.
We did what we could, and I was really surprised with how it turned out. Our guitar player Tony, he filmed it, and I just kind of like told him, I was like, "This is what I think. Let's see how it looks." And yeah, it turned out.
Yeah, it didn't take very long to make it either, obviously. 'Cause it's
No, we're out
not a
there for
very
like
long song. But
Yeah, we were out there for like an hour and a half,
yeah.
something like that.
So, what was the last album you guys listened to?
I think I listened to Axe to Fall by Converge earlier.
I just bought the new Killer Be Killed, actually.
I still haven't listened to that.
Dude, it's so good. They got Ben Kohler from Converge now.
shit.
So it's freaking
Yes.
ripping.
Yeah, I need to check that out as well, man. Shit.
It's really good.
What about albums of the year?
Ooh.
My favorite so far is the Old Ones' first album that they just came out with like a week or two before ours. It's called Mound Builders, and the person who did the album art for it also did our lettering on the front and the back of the album. His name is Joshua Paulsen, and yeah, he's just like this wildly talented artist.
He's so good.
Yeah, I could say only good things about him.
Yeah.
So he didn't do the full album art. He just did the letters, like your name and stuff.
Yeah, he did our logo, and then we had our friend Ryan Effinger. She did like the guillotine and the barrier and everything on it, and we put the logo in it. And then we got to the back cover. We didn't have art yet, so we had Joshua do all the songs in kind of like the similar style as our logo.
Okay.
And it turned out like that. And then the inside of the CD is going to be like some shots we took while filming our video and some of our promo shots.
Yeah.
That's sick. So, what about your favorite album, JR?
Oh, man, it's tough. I'd have to say there's two, and I can't pick one right now, but I'd say either the new Deftones Ohms. I really like that. And then the new Action Bronson. I love Action Bronson. I do not care. I love that guy.
No shame.
No shame. He's freaking awesome. And it's just all raps, like no hooks. It's just constant bars the whole time. And just really, he uses like, I don't want to say like almost Indian influenced like rhythms and beats and instruments and stuff that he's sampling. And it's really interesting. But yeah, those two for me.
Is hip hop like a big influence for you for like this kind of music and stuff? The way you like structure things?
I wouldn't say, like intentionally. It might be subconsciously, but I mean, like, I listen to a lot of hip hop, like, and probably as much as any genre. Like, I don't like to rule anything out. Just try to keep an open mind. And lately, it's been hip hop. So, like the samples on the album are pretty hip hop influenced because
Right.
the guitar listens to a lot as well.
Who did
We
the
actually
samples?
use those for samples at shows, so people have like a break from all the constant blast beats and shit.
It's probably more so you have a break, right? Get some water.
Yeah,
I, for one, love him.
Who made the beats?
Tony made him.
Yeah, he makes all the beats, and then I wouldn't. Fuck, we don't even help him that much. He comes up with them, and I love him every time he comes up. Like, the only thing I ever try to tell him is like, if we're using a specific song like that to lead into another song, just try to like keep those chords in, the sample track. and try to make it like flow together that way. But other than that, Tony is really organic with that stuff.
Well, honestly, I usually skip through interludes and stuff in albums, but I actually listen to both of the interludes you guys have here every time I run through it. They're really freaking good.
Thanks, man. Like we had a few that couldn't be on the record because we were sampling stuff and we didn't want to get in trouble. But and I didn't want it to come off as like a way to use it as filler on the record, if that makes sense. So I wanted to keep it subtle, but also, it's there and it's a part of our sound. So
Yeah.
Alrighty, you guys have merch. I didn't see any shirts up for sale, but I saw you got CDs and stuff.
So we did a first run of shirts, and they pretty much all sold out right away. So
Damn.
didn't really give us a whole lot of time to figure out what we were going to do for our next run, but we do have some ideas in the near future.
Yeah, we bought those shirts and it was like, man, we got to figure out what finances we have. Oh yeah, we have an album to put out. So
Yeah, it was like take all the money we made from the shirts to fund the album.
Yeah.
So it worked. It's out. But yeah.
So you got more coming then. You got more shirts coming.
We do, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're in the works on probably maybe some long sleeves and some more short sleeves. And I think we're going to throw some up on our Bandcamp. It's just locally, that was our first batch of shirts since we'd been a band. So locally, they flew.
Right, you should have seen our first shirts. We had like Walmart Hanes that we just made like a shitty cardboard logo and fucking spray painted it. And it was like $5. You want it? Don't ever wash it.
And I gave most of those away for free. I was just like, wear this only to our shows, never wash it, and we'll know you're the OGs.
And we did the same thing with our banner. It's just a bed sheet that says Nyat fucks on it.
That's sick, man. Y'all still use that for shows? The banner?
Oh,
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
like every show we use it, we take it back down and then we add something to it with like spray paint. So every show it's a little different.
It was super silly. We opened for the Convalescence in August?
Yeah.
And August or July, and they had all their scrims and their banner, and we played second, and we just have this shitty bed sheet that's hanging above their stuff, and
we're very punk influenced as well.
It was great, actually.
I mean, I love shit like that. You can't take yourself too seriously, and I feel like if you do, it almost comes off as like trying too hard. So when we put a bed sheet up behind us with spray paint on it, it's lighthearted. You can get a little laugh.
You guys working on vinyl or anything, or are you just gonna do this on CD?
So when we dropped the album, we got a lot of questions about that, and as of now, probably nothing for the time being, just because like we had planned on doing that when we were trying to set up like touring and stuff, but yeah, just for like financial reasons, it hasn't really been like a solidified like plan.
I'd like to find somewhere we can press them where it's not going to be an arm and a leg, because I mean, like it was like what 100 of them for like $3,000, something like that.
Oh wow, where are you going? Where it's that expensive? Jeez.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that, but it was still really spendy, and it was like, well, put out the album or put out vinyl. And
yeah.
Even though
we got a small batch of CDs, probably gonna be here in the next couple days. Like 100.
I think they're supposed to come in tomorrow.
120, and they're up on our Bandcamp. And it's just the preference of having vinyl over CD, and like I would like a vinyl copy of my record too, but like right now it's just not financially feasible for us right now.
Yeah, realistically, we're still a pretty small band. Like we've been doing stuff for a few years, but like in terms of like a national kind of thing, like we haven't even like left the state yet. So
yeah,
we're working on it though.
But I mean, that's the thing about Montana too, is like we've played other cities in Montana, and those are still 8-hour drives.
Yeah.
Right, I was gonna say Montana doesn't seem like there's like the hub for metal exactly, right?
No. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's great metal bands here. But
yeah. We're all spaced so far apart, so like you compare it to like the East or West Coast, like a 3-hour drive, you can play, 6 cities. But
yeah.
Our closest city is Bozeman, and that's about 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And then there's Butte and Missoula.
And I mean, a lot of these towns in Montana, like where I come from and even where you come from up north too, like my graduating class was like 13 kids and I was in a town of like 900 people. So like sometimes we just say fuck it, we go play these small farm towns and like people show up and they party. Like so I mean rural Montana is still decent, but I mean you're playing to, you know, the bar crowd that's the same local people that have been there for like 20
You're
years.
playing to people that are only there to see your band because
there's nothing
they
else for
have
them to
no
do.
option.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we're going to drink at this bar anyways. We might as well just stay and listen to this.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember my other band, Rapture, we played in rural Wyoming. And we played this place called Bombers. And these people, it's like the quintessential, like, modern, like, cowboy movie. Like, these people in, like, overalls are, like, flipping tables over and, like, beating each other up at the pool table while they're
Really?
playing. Dude, no joke. And people are still smoking indoors. Like, it's welcome to Montana.
Like beating people up because of your music or because they had like a
So that
altercation?
specific show, I honestly think they were fighting each other, and it had nothing to do with our music at all.
Okay, well, from now on, say that it had everything to do with your music. Okay, good story. So playing out there, it seems like there wouldn't be a lot of real music venues. Where's like the weirdest place y'all played?
Probably our last show in the backyard.
Oh, yeah, on the south side.
Yeah, it was like right before COVID started hitting like really bad up here, and our old guitarist, he was in the band for a while. His name's Riley Haney, and he was moving, so we were going to do a send-off show with him, and then he had his band Death Wish play their last show, and just one of his friends, I don't know if he worked with him or what, but he was like,
yeah, they were coworkers.
Yeah, and he was like selling his house, and he was like, fuck it, let's just throw a house show. So we played in his backyard, and Southside Billings can be pretty rough sometimes, so I don't think any of the cops really cared. Like,
I'd say that one or my first show with Naiad. It was at Ernie November, and they had like a 25 years.
So I work at a record store in Billings called Ernie Novembers, and yeah, we were celebrating 25 years of business in Billings, and we threw a parking lot show, and kind of just like blocked off the parking lot entrance, and like with like a taco. No, it was a Asian food truck that I got for this show, and like, yeah, we just played. Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on. Is it like a strip mall kind of situation, or is it a building by itself?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a strip mall. It's like 3 buildings put into one, and like this big parking lot in front of it. And one of my buddies, he does this Asian food truck, and we had him like block off the entrance, and then we set up a PA right in front of the building doors, and we just played some grindcore for like 30 minutes.
That is so random, just Asian food truck out of nowhere,
Dude, and he sold so much food that night. Like,
I was gonna say he's probably making bank.
He hit us up a few months later. He's like, "Hey, you guys doing any shows?"
Yeah, and he wanted to like follow our shows and like cater all of them. It was pretty cool.
Dude, that's fucking sick, man.
And he actually did a second time when we played at.
Oh yeah, when we played.
We played at a tattoo shop, and he came and catered that show too.
Dude, that's so sick. That's such a good idea, man. Like, God, that's so good.
Oh, actually, speaking of the devil, Tony's here.
How's it going?
Oh, it's good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. So, Tony, what do you do in the band?
I play guitar and do backing vocals.
Oh, yeah, he does that too.
Just forget that he did some vocals.
Yeah.
So, what influences your playing?
Oh God, everything. For this band, really heavily Dillinger influenced. I'm influenced by like Deftones and Mastodon. Just like it's a lot of influences actually. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what influences my playing. I just like what I hear from those guys and kind of like to incorporate that into our sound too. So
Yeah,
And,
Ben Weinman, for sure.
yeah, Ben Weinman's just a ridiculous guitar player. He's so good.
You were also the one that mixed the album, is that correct?
Yeah, actually, this is my first album I've mixed as a whole. Honestly,
Really?
like,
Wow, dude, you
yeah.
did really good for your first time. Holy shit.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
We kind of had to like I said with the computer problems. We were like, well, Tony, we have no choice. We're gonna have to mix it.
Yeah. But no, like I learned so many things for mixing and production. Like it was a really, really crazy, like it just thrust me into the world of like engineering and everything and learning the aspects of, mixing and whatnot. And now I just like have an appreciation of like bands that do this kind of stuff, like this kind of music.
Yeah.
Dude, like the amount of transients that we cram through a computer to try and control that and make it all sound, like you can understand it. Like, dude, it is like pretty hard, but it was an awesome experience for sure.
So who recorded the EP before?
Zach did that.
So like with the EP, our bass player Zach, he tracks it all, and he does like the production on that end, and then Tony mixed it. But with the EP, it was just me and Zach drinking a lot of rum and mixing this EP, and like I didn't even know if we were gonna put it out because like we made them all as demos, and we were like, well, and I released it as a demo originally, and then when we got Will, we kind of just recorded his vocals like as fast as we could, and then kind of put it out. So it was different in that aspect, and that's why I think they sound pretty different. Is because Zach mixed the EP and then Tony mixed the record. But I like them both, and yeah, it turned out.
And I learned a ton from Zach, actually.
Yeah.
I should also add for mixing, just he has a fantastic ear for music. So like whenever I had a question about anything, I would just go to him and he would help me out in the best way he could. So
And Zach helped with the mixing a lot.
yeah,
too.
he did. He was there for a lot of it. Him and I kind of disappeared into the dungeon, as I call it, and just
Yeah, they were
crammed
saying
hours and
concrete basement. Like, how was it trying to tame the sounds coming out of the basement?
They actually, you're talking about the Lewis house, right?
So yeah, basically
Yeah.
like his house where he mixed was different from our house where we tracked it. It was tracked in the concrete basement, but then he moved into his place, and you have like a pretty nice little setup going on there.
I built a little studio setup where it has actual like acoustic treatment. So once I made that transition downstairs, I heard things I didn't normally hear when I started mixing again. I was like, oh, okay. So it really kind of just opened my eyes to really shape the sound like way better to what the album is, what you hear now. So it had a huge hand into the production, actually, is going from a concrete basement, recording like drums and guitars down there, which they did. It sounded awesome. Like,
and the vocals too.
yeah. And we did pretty much everything in that basement. And yeah, it just, it actually turned out awesome.
Did you master it as well, or did y'all send it off?
No, Zach and I went to the pub station downtown here in Billings, and they have a studio now. So they call it the Pub Station Studio. They have like a whole mastering, like an analog just setup of just good hardware to convert pretty much your rough mixes into proper masters. And that's where we did it. We did that with Sean Lynch actually here.
Yeah, and Sean Lynch here, so a little backstory on the pub. It was an old train, or not train,
Bus station.
bus station. It was an old bus station. And he turned it into like this really awesome venue. And it's like he's pulling acts from around the country that Billings has never had the opportunity to see before. And when COVID hit, he turned it into studio, because he used to record bands around Billings all the time. And he took all his gear and was like, got to build a studio now. So his mastering setup there was amazing.
Yeah. It's probably the best kind of production gear that you could get around like the 3 states around us. Not until you hit like Washington, like Seattle,
Yeah.
There's no better gear, around.
Did he have any idea what to do with your music? Was he just like, what the fuck is this?
Well-
he recorded like Jam vs. Jam.
Yeah.
and
He's done metal bands before.
that were pretty nuts, but
But-
nothing like this.
Yeah, he said he was like, "This is different," and he didn't mean that in any bad way, of course. So, but he enjoyed it. Like he knew what we were going for. It sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, and
So-
I mean, he brought so much life to the songs.
Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
You know, before we got to the master, I think we were all worried about the mixes in different ways.
Yeah,
It just because, you know, with everything that happened, and so when we got those masters, I was like, oh my god, it's where I want it to be.
This is what it should sound like. This is what it should sound like. So
Nice. Well, I already asked the other guys, but what was the last album that you listened to?
like just now, like
Yeah.
I've been on a huge Greg Puciato kick. His recent solo album release, so good.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick, man.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his, and yeah, I've just been rocking that. The track in particular is actually, I think, Fireflies. That's really, it's more electronic, but man, it's so.
What's the last song on that album?
September City, which is
That
also
one's probably my favorite.
which also hits me in the feels. So that whole album just is amazing front to back. So we could go on about that, but that was the last album I was just listening to.
What's your album of the year so far?
Probably that one. There's that one.
enough.
Oh man, Deftones was really
That's
good.
what I said, Deftones.
Deftones, and then I mean, Killer Be Killed just came out with theirs too.
Mhm.
Same day they dropped their album on the 20th. So I was jacked in that aspect too. Once I learned that, I was like, oh my god, they released another album too. Oh my, this is a good day.
Well, and so many bands from the Mathcore Index, like the little scene they have going on, like it was like 4 or 5 different bands. Like it was like us and like 4 other bands dropped records that day, and I was like, damn,
Yeah,
it's a good day for Mathcore.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the scene's just starting to blow up. Like this is the ground floor, and pretty soon, like we're gonna be like where deathcore and metalcore and stuff is right now.
Well, and
Yeah.
I feel like with what Christian's doing for the Mathcore scene and
For
all the guys
sure.
at the Mathcore Index, like it gives us a platform that we normally wouldn't have the opportunity to, you know, reach those people. Because I mean, especially for a band like us, we're up in Montana. Like we need
Middle of
Right.
nowhere.
we need all the help we can get.
I also was asking the guys what their favorite shows were. Did you have a memorable experience from a show?
Like
Ones we've
played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They're all a blur. In particular, man, the Metal Fest, Flathead Metal Fest was a fun one.
Oh
That
yeah.
one was really, really fun.
Shout out to Anthony Barnes, man.
Yeah.
Y'all had a metal fest in Montana. There's enough bands to do that?
Oh, dude, there's quite the metal scene
Yeah,
here, apparently.
There was like 20 bands
Yeah.
that played that.
Holy
So
shit,
he does
dude.
it every year
Yeah.
up there.
When I said earlier, like we drove like 8 hours, that was to Metal Fest.
Yep.
And that's, you know, bands from all over Montana come and play this 2-stage event in Kalispell, Montana. And dude, it's a party.
It's
awesome.
It's yeah.
Nice. Any bands of note coming? Like, who was the headliner for that?
Actually, our other band headlined
Yeah.
our band in Rapture.
yeah.
Tony's also in Rapture.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we headlined one year, and then another Billings band, Shores of Lina, they headlined one year. They're like tech death. And
That's awesome that like small bands from around the state can bring in like crowds to support a show like that. That's pretty
For
sick.
sure. Yeah. And it's always awesome to, I mean, you get used to seeing those people. So once everybody gets together, of course, we're just all like, oh my God,
Yeah,
so
dude.
nice to see you.
The Montana scene, it's like one big family. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is.
Like,
That's awesome, man. Because y'all gotta like stick together, right? I mean, who else
For
is gonna
sure,
do
yeah.
that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
like people underestimate. I feel like people underestimate like the value of playing in Montana because, like, you know, it's out of the way, so it's like not seen as like a good moneymaker or a gas stop. But like when you play in Montana, like people are fucking bored up here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Like you do something memorable, like they will come back, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you guys got a couple of side projects. You've been mentioning in Rapture for a bit, so why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
in Rapture, actually, we were in Rapture before Nyat. and we've been doing it for like 6 or 7 years.
I think we're on year 8.
Yeah, I've been doing it for
Damn.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fun music. We're working on our 4th record right now.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep. This will be the 4th.
And I feel like people from the Mathcore Index might appreciate it too, because like there's definitely some mathy stuff in there.
Yeah. It's
Me and
technical.
Tony just get writing crazy and writing a bunch of shit. So
Yeah.
What kind of music is it?
It's we describe it as melodic instrumental metal, pretty much.
yeah,
So like
it's,
Scale the Summit kind of shit then, or?
that's honestly
yeah.
People like to compare us to Scale the Summit and like what's that band, Pelican?
Pelican. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much Russian circles, but in that direction for like heaviness.
Yeah, because I mean, we still do a lot of technical heavy stuff, almost like mathcore, but then we have like these big epic like choruses and breakdowns with keys and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people would definitely be interested in that in the scene, man. Y'all should be sharing that.
Yeah. I did a few times, and it didn't really get the response I thought it would, but I've got to keep at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I feel like mathcore, a lot of them appreciate the vocal side of it, which being in an instrumental band, it poses challenges like that, but it's cathartic for us because, as musicians, it's nice to not, have to worry about playing around a vocalist. Like nothing, not to say that's bad or anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, but
Fuck, man.
it's a totally
Throwing
different
vocalists
way
under
of
the bus.
it's cool. It's like a complete 180 from writing music with vocals, and it's really fun to have that outlet as well.
You're trying to figure out how to take up the space that a vocalist would normally live in. That makes
You
sense.
have to capture people's attention without somebody being like, "Hey, look at us," like it's
very different.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when we're playing like these shows with metal bands that have vocalists and stuff. Like we opened for Born of Osiris one time, and so it's cool that we still get opportunities like that, but we don't have a vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned avocado toast. Now I love me some avocado toast, but tell me about the band.
So that was I've been doing like, dare I say, jazz gigs with with this local bass player named Dave Benuelos, and he's actually on the EP we put out, a track called Don't Sleep. That's actually him on bass, and he like wrote the guitar structure to that song and recorded it. And he's just crazy good. Like Dave is maybe the best bass player up here, I'd say.
He's really, really good.
And then he did jazz gigs with a guy named Alex Nauman, who's also incredibly phenomenal, like super good jazz guy. And we're all friends. We're all musicians in Montana that hang out, and we're all, hanging out at my house playing chess one night. And we were like, dude, no chess. We get done with these gigs, then just go home and play chess.
Nauman is a chess fiend.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Fucking crazy.
Super high rating.
But we're like, dude, let's just get on stage, and instead of playing jazz, let's just make a wall of noise. And they bring their effects pedals, and I bring the biggest, most annoying cymbals I can find. It's just a barrage of blast beats and flamenco swinging.
So, tell us. I definitely wrote this name down wrong. Palantir? Huh?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. We got it. Okay.
That's my side project with Trevor. That one doesn't have a whole lot of traction or anything yet because he's really busy with the old ones. They just put out their album, and I've been busy with Nayat. But we have some plans for an EP in the future. We're slowly getting everything organized for that, and he just built a studio in his house.
Damn.
And yeah, I do vocals in that, and he does vocals too, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Don't you play drums for that too?
Yeah, I do the drums, and he does the guitar, and it's like the theme around the songs in that is like almost like spiritual kind of stuff and like folklore. A lot of it like centering around like Native American themed stuff, which I don't know how like the public would receive that because we don't exactly look Native American, but I've always been super fascinated with it, and Trevor is like he's like really into hiking, and he's discovered like dolmens and stuff up in the mountains, and yeah, he kind of has like reputation as being like a guide. I like
Oh,
to
wow.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Trevor's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tony, you got any side projects?
Actually, yeah. You have
Oh
Talm.
yeah. My solo project Talm. It's just actually electronic stuff.
Was that Town? Like TOWN?
TALM. All capitals.
TALM. Okay.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just electronic stuff. I've always been interested in like the electronic side of music. So that's like my way of going that way and just exploring like just synthwave stuff and just making beats and playing synths over it and making more like, I would say, more cinematic kind of feels.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's my other side project other than in Rapture. So
Well, that's sick.
Yeah.
I was going to go ahead and wrap this up unless you guys had something else you wanted to talk about.
I mean, I'll just say like our record's out anywhere you can stream music. Blasphemous, check that shit out if you want.
Hell yeah.
We would really appreciate it.
yeah.
Now, for real, this is a really good album. Like, I'm kind of surprised y'all aren't getting as much attention as I feel like I should be way more like out there than what y'all are.
Yeah.
Dude,
This is sick.
Releasing an album during COVID we didn't know if we wanted to do it, you know, and so we're just testing the waters, see how it goes.
I gotcha. So if you're a fan of Psyopus, Fallen Limbs, or other nasty math grind bands, check out Blasphemous, the debut album from Night In At Tiananmens, which dropped last Friday. They're on Spotify, all the other streaming sites, Bandcamp, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Nyat Band. Check that out. As for me, drop my channel a follow so you always know when I go live. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube, folks, please drop me a follow. Subscribe. Tickle the notification bell. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation. My 5th album, Memes, Dreams, and Flying Machines, is available now.
Yes.
My next guest is Focusrite. That's right, freaking Focusrite. It's going to be awesome. Join us this Wednesday, the 25th at 12 p.m. Central for a live interview. That's 12 p.m. Central, not 7 p.m. Wanted to make sure people know that. It's because they're from Europe, obviously. So thanks for being here, guys. Hope you all had a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having
Man,
us.
it's been great.
Hell yeah, y'all welcome anytime. And thank you for watching and listening.